Hi everybody, good afternoon. This is Emily here at Thrive Wellness Center, and I just wanted to come talk to you guys a little bit today about quote unquote health foods that are labeled as healthy, but as we know on our end of things are not very good for us. So we're going to discuss those specific items and kind of the broad spectrum of those items and go into a couple details of what you need to look for to avoid in ingredient labels and items in general. So some things we're going to be talking about throughout the video are things like Insure, Pedialyte, Pediasure, veggie straws, healthy cereals, sports drinks, things like yogurts, yogurt alternatives, also things like butter alternatives, all that good stuff, okay? So stay tuned and we'll get to all those details. All right, first I wanna start off with Insure because so many people have been coming in and I appreciate you guys so much for trying to make the right choices, and the media just fills you full of information that's not true. So we're gonna burst their bubble a little bit. So we'll start with Insure. I actually printed out a label here because it makes it a little easier to look at. I'm not sure if it's gonna show up the right direction on your guys' screen, but I'll kind of walk through it. So first of all, Insure is supposed to be made for those who, might not be able to eat solid food. It's used heavily in hospitals and the elderly, all that good stuff. It is actually full of a ton of synthetic vitamins and minerals, which are really hard on our body because they're chemically made. And they're also full of, there's nothing nutritious about it at all. So I'll show you that. When you're looking at a label, so first I'm gonna show like the macronutrients here, which are our fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. So there are 0 grams of fat in this, which is not a great thing because as you guys know and as we talk about, we want those healthy fats for our diet and for our body to function at optimum. Then below that, at our next macronutrient is carbs. So there are 37 grams of carbs in one serving of your Insure. That is quite a few carbs for one serving, and I understand that this is meant to be a meal replacement, but I can tell you those carbs are not coming from a good source. They're coming from not great sources. I'll get to the label. Then we have protein, which you should be having plenty of protein if you're working on healing, working on living a healthy lifestyle. And there's only 8 grams of protein in this whole bottle compared to 37 grams of carbohydrates. That is an off ratio. We would really like to see that reversed. So we really would like to see more like 30 grams of protein and the 8 grams of carbs would be awesome. And then to go below your carbohydrates, you're gonna look in sugars, and there is 18 grams of added sugar in your Insures. That is almost reaching your recommended daily allowance according to the FDA, which we don't always like their suggestions too much either. But anywho, so what we're gonna do now is look at the ingredients actual listed on the side here. The first ingredient is water, and just a friendly reminder that ingredients are listed in the order of amount that they're in. So the highest amount is gonna be your first ingredient, the least amount is gonna be your last ingredient. So water, and then you have corn maltodextrin. No, all bad. So corn is a grain that's heavily genetically modified, so they use a lot of GMOs for corn. So on top of it already being inflammatory because it is a grain in itself, it's also a GMO grain, and it is going to cause stress on the digestive tract, hormone balances, all of that stuff. So overall, just not off to a good start. So then to list the rest of the things in here, this label here is nothing you really should be putting in your body ever. I don't know how to pronounce half these things, honestly. But there's also things like Red 40 in here, which has many different studies about Red 40 causing cancer. We won't talk about how many children's products, food products contain Red 40, but there's a ton. And then also there is blue dye in here. All of these vitamins that are listed, bunny ears on that one, like your potassium, your magnesium, vitamin D, all of those things that are listed are meant to catch you in and bring you in because those are all synthetically processed. They are not from a whole food source, which means your body does not utilize them right. It sees them as a toxin and you don't get any benefit from that. Okay, label number 1, done. All right, we're gonna now talk about, and that goes to the same thing with Pedialyte, Pediasure. I printed out a Pedialyte label just for kicks and giggles, but literally Pedialyte is water and sugar. That's all it is. There is no, they like to claim that there are other things in it, but all of those, again, are chemically made minerals. There's natural and artificial flavors, which actually have interchangeable definitions. Natural flavors does not mean natural. Do not let them fool you. Sucralose, which is artificial sweetener as well. All right, so that kicks those to the curb. Then another huge one that we see heavily, and I honestly was on this boat too. I used to think Premier Protein was amazing, and you get it at Costco. It's in these little tubs. It's convenient. It tastes delicious. It's addicting because of all the stuff that's in it. All of that. Here is a label for that. This is specifically the caramel flavor, but that label is out of control too. So within this label, first pick apart again. Okay, we go right to the macros. Speaking for macronutrient wise, if you just look at this, it's doing okay for the macros. Then you want to see where all that's coming from. That's when you go to the ingredients. Then it loses it, okay? So your protein is coming from the milk protein concentrate, but then it also contains high oleic sunflower oil, which I know is extremely processed and cheap to use. That's why they use it. And then on top of that, you have sucralose. I also just learned that acetylflame, again, we're having a really fun time. I'm horrible at pronouncing words in the first place, so just excuse me. But anywho, that is a chemically made sugar or calorie-free sweetener. They just throw the name potassium there so you think it's healthy. Anyway, then we have vitamin and mineral blend listed below that. And it's going to be the same thing with your Pediasure and your Insure and all of those sort of quote unquote healthy type of shakes. Those are going to all be synthetic, okay? So again, not an ideal source of nutrients at all, okay? Then we have things that are mislabeled as healthy, like yogurts. So we see a ton of like breakfast yogurts that are like, oh, just grab and go, Activia, it helps your gut, Yoplait, it's this and that. And they show the yellow bikini song and all that stuff. It's engraved in my brain from my childhood, as I'm sure it's yours. And this is a Yoplait yogurt label. This is for like a multi-pack strawberry banana. However, again, there is no nutritional value in this. None. It's horrible. So what I'm going to do is go through here. So we have the total fats, which is only 1.5 grams. If you actually go look at a high quality whole food like Greek yogurt, there is a lot more fat in that Greek yogurt than there is in this, and you want that good fat. You want that good healthy fat to support your body. Then you go down just a little lower to the total carbohydrate area. Oh my gosh, my phone's swaying everywhere on me. And you're gonna see 33 grams of carbs. 26 of those are from sugar. That is over the recommended daily allowance for added sugar, okay? So pay attention to that, people. That is way too much sugar. And then we got to find out where that's coming from, okay? Because there are circumstances where that added sugar could be coming from honey, maple syrup, fruit, which again, it's still a lot of sugar, but it would be a much more valuable source versus coming from something that's not as nutritionally dense. So we'll go over to the ingredients, and we have culturized, pasteurized, grade A low-fat milk. So that solves our no-fat issue right there. They took the fat out of the milk, so even more processed. Then you go ahead and go over, and sugar is the second ingredient. So that's going to be just white bleached, not good sugar, okay? We have strawberries, modified cornstarch, again with the GMO aspect being present there. Non-fat milk, citric acid, and then they use a bunch of coloring tools to make it all pink and pretty. That is for most breakfast yogurt type items. You're going to have a lot of dyes, a lot of sugar is the big issue. So when you're looking at a yogurt, you want something that's full fat, plain, Greek ideally, if you're tolerable to dairy, okay? So look out for that. Next, we're talking about butter. Please just go buy some real grass-fed butter because everything else is junk. So this is the Earth Balance brand, which is known as like it's all labeled pretty. They really suck you in. Marketing companies are great at their job. Don't forget that. And it's labeled, I believe, as just like a vegan butter for that reason. All right, so let's go over those ingredients though. They're all oils and not good ones. So vegetable oil blend, palm fruit, canola, soybean, flax, and olive. Okay, I'll give them the flax and the olive part, that's fine. But let's talk about palm, canola, and soy. Not good oils, high in omega fatty acids, which are seen as a toxin to the body in high amounts and high quantities. They're cheap to make and they are easy to use, so companies will use them heavily, okay? You especially see canola, soybean, and safflower, sunflower, and heavily in a lot of products. You want to avoid these oils. These are highly processed. They will disrupt hormones. They will disrupt digestion. All right. And then there's also natural flavors in here. Again, like we talked about, natural flavors are not our friend. All right. Now we'll talk about a little bit of syrup action because this is another major one. So we tend to hop on the sugar-free train, which is great. I love the aspect of reducing added sugar. However, sugar-free does not always mean healthier. So just like we know that about diet pops. So diet pop does not mean healthier. Diet pop means they use something else to sweeten it, which is just as harmful, sometimes more harmful than your regular old sugar. This is Aunt Jemima's pancake syrup, or syrup in general. This list here, ingredient list, there is not one single item that says anything about maple syrup of any sort. It is all from corn. It is corn syrup along with high fructose corn syrup. It also has some caramel color in there. It has preservatives, artificial and natural flavors, and then some chemical that I can't even begin to pronounce. It's very, very long. So big no-no, red flags on that. A lot of your sugar-free syrups, quote unquote, are going to have sucralose in them, which is a sugar alcohol, which is not good either. It's hard on our liver. It's hard on our body, and overall our body does not accept it as something that's nutritious. All right, then kiddos, again, I have a Sunny D label here. Oh, Sunny D, how the nostalgia. So there is absolutely no juice content. This is for a lot of juices. I will reiterate, a lot of parents are keen on giving their kids juices because they'll drink them. Well, they drink them because they're all sugar. So you want to avoid juices, okay? There's no real nutritional content in these juices whatsoever. So we have water and high fructose corn syrup are basically what this juice is made of, not juice. Then also on top of that, Dr. Shannon and I were just out here talking about it, and she was like, you know, when you drink that too, you get that oily taste in your mouth, and there is in fact oil in it. Let me find where it went, but there is in fact added oil to this. And then on top of that, there is yellow 5, yellow 6, which is a bunch of chemical dyes. There's also added synthetic vitamins, sucralose. So not only do you have your already corn syrup aspect to it, they're gonna add a sugar alcohol as well. All right, awesome, yes. And then just too many things. All right, those are the labels I printed out. Now I just want to make a couple points with you guys just verbally about some different items. So we talked about those. Veggie straws are another one. Veggie straws are full of potato starch actually, so you're not doing yourself a favor by avoiding potato chips and eating veggie straws. And again, I want you guys to know this is not a harp on you guys making your health choices at all. This is more of a harp on mass media, the marketing companies, for portraying to you that these food items are healthy. They're not. All right. And then a big thing I want to talk about too, because I always recommend pickles. Pickles are great because they're fermented. There's a ton of dyes in a lot of pickles, so just make sure you look at your pickle label, okay? All right. Milk alternatives. Milk alternatives are becoming so popular, which is great, but when we popularize things, demand gets high and quality becomes low. So what we want to focus on is looking at ingredients labels. Any preservatives like the guar gum, I can never say it right, carcinogen or something along those lines. Carginian, I think is actually more along what it's like. But those are all preservatives to add to those things, cheapen them for companies to make profit. All right, also let's talk about fat-free things. Whew, like that butter, that's not good. Go ahead, buy some grass-fed butter that's yellow. We want to avoid things that are quote-unquote fat-free because they're going to be pulling things that are nutritious from it and adding in things that are synthetic and not good for you. We talked about sports drinks, veggie straws. Let's see, I had another one on here that was big. Oh, the really popular, like they're called Naked or Boathouse, like the green juice blends. There's no nutritional value in those either. I actually sat down with somebody the other day and went through a label because it's so frustrating because they're marketed, again, so heavily to be so good for you, full of greens and veggies and fruits and all these things. But instead, there's actually no nutritional content. If you look at the label, no good fat, no protein, all carbs, added sugar. If you look at the nutritional list, there's all of these items, XYZ, you know, you've got your broccoli and your kale and this and that. And that's all wonderful. But guess what? When you put that through that juicing process, you lose all fiber, you lose a lot of mineral content, you lose a lot of vitamin content. So you're actually just drinking juice and, again, raising your blood sugar, causing issues for your body overall and overall balance. Okay. Oh, and then last honorable mention are alternative pastas. So we're really big into, you know, our gluten-free time and age, which is great too, again, like with the milk alternative thing. However, you want to be particular about the gluten-free items you're putting in your body. To spin off of that, pastas are becoming really popular, like veggie pastas. However, Miss Bree was talking with me this morning and pointing out how kind of the generic name brands of your regular normal pasta are doing veggie pastas, but they still have wheat in them. So they're just, again, trying to trick you. So outsmart them, look at your labels, read the ingredients. If you cannot pronounce them, put it back and get something better, okay? If you're unsure of what's better or you're not sure where to go from there, please let one of us know. We're so happy to help and give you suggestions. That's what we're here for, instead of you questioning whether it's good or not, if you should put it in your body. All right, you guys, I hope that this helps. I just kind of got sick of, you know, reading about Insure and how great it was and had to address all of those things. All right, everyone, I hope you're having a great day. And if you guys have any more food questions for us, we'd love to answer them, get you in for a new patient evaluation and get you all checked out. All right, everyone, thanks.